What if I told you that 7 cities quietly control the money, the ports, the factories, and the future of over 600 million people? Which one of them do you think truly rules the region? Southeast Asia is not one story. It is 7 different heartbeats, each one pounding inside a city that fights for power in its own way. Some of these cities rule through money. Some rule through ports and ships. Some rule through factories that never stop running. And some rule simply because every road, every rail line, and every decision in their country flows straight through them. We are about to walk through 7 cities that shape the destiny of an entire region. You will hear about glass towers built on reclaimed land, ancient capitals turned into modern giants, and river cities that carry more cargo than most countries can imagine. Some of these names you already know. Others might surprise you completely. By the end of this journey, you will understand why power in Southeast Asia is not just about size. It is about influence, money, culture, and control. So settle in, because we are about to find out which city truly deserves the crown, and why the others are not far behind. Point 1. Singapore, the financial fortress. Singapore is small on the map but massive in influence, and that gap between its size and its power is exactly what makes it so fascinating. This city-state has no farmland to speak of, almost no natural resources, and a population smaller than many single cities in its neighboring countries. Yet it stands as the undisputed financial fortress of Southeast Asia, and arguably one of the most important financial centers on the entire planet. Walk through the central business district and you will see towers packed with global banks, hedge funds, and trading desks that move billions of dollars every single day, though here we will simply say vast amounts of money changes hands constantly. Singapore built its power on trust. Investors from around the world park their wealth here because the legal system is stable, corruption is rare, and contracts are honored. That trust took decades to build, and it is now one of the hardest things for any rival city to copy. The port of Singapore is another pillar of its strength. It sits at the meeting point of the Strait of Malacca, one of the busiest shipping lanes on Earth. A staggering share of the world's trade passes through these waters, and Singapore's harbor handles an enormous volume of containers every year, connecting factories in China to markets in Europe and everywhere in between. Whoever controls this choke point holds real leverage over global trade itself. Beyond finance and shipping, Singapore has become a magnet for technology companies, biotech research, and multinational headquarters. Government policy here is famously forward-thinking, often planning decades ahead rather than reacting to crises. Education levels are among the highest in the world, and the workforce is fluent in English, which makes doing business simple for international companies. Of course, Singapore is not without challenges. Living costs are extremely high, land is limited, and the city depends heavily on imported food, water, and energy. But even with these vulnerabilities, its diplomatic weight, financial muscle, and strategic location make it nearly impossible to ignore. When people talk about the beating financial heart of Southeast Asia, they are almost always talking about Singapore first. Point 2. Jakarta, the sprawling giant. Jakarta is raw power wrapped in chaos, and that chaos is exactly what makes it so important. As the capital of Indonesia, the largest economy in Southeast Asia and one of the largest populations on the planet, Jakarta commands attention simply because of scale. Tens of millions of people live and work across its sprawling metropolitan area, making it one of the biggest urban regions anywhere in the world. This city is the political nerve center of Indonesia. Every major decision about the country's economy, its foreign policy, and its future runs through Jakarta's government buildings. But it is not just politics that gives Jakarta its muscle. The city is also the commercial engine of the nation, home to the headquarters of major banks, energy companies, and manufacturing giants that fuel Indonesia's growth. The energy in Jakarta is impossible to miss. Traffic clogs the streets for hours, street vendors sell food on nearly every corner, and construction cranes rise above the skyline as new towers replace old neighborhoods. This is a city that never quite finishes building itself, always pushing forward despite the obstacles. Jakarta's stock exchange plays a major role in Southeast Asian investment, drawing capital from around the region and beyond. Consumer spending here is enormous, since Indonesia's growing middle class buys everything from smartphones to motorbikes to household goods, and companies from every corner of the world want a piece of that market. This consumer power alone gives Jakarta enormous economic gravity. Yet Jakarta faces serious problems that even its size cannot solve alone. The city is sinking due to groundwater extraction, flooding grows worse every year, and pollution levels are among the highest in the region. These pressures are so severe that Indonesia is actually building a brand new capital city called Nusantara to eventually take over as the seat of government. Still, even with that shift, Jakarta will likely remain the commercial and cultural giant of Indonesia for a very long time. Its sheer scale, its economic weight, and its role as the gateway to the fourth most populous nation on Earth keep it firmly among the most powerful cities in the region. Point 3. Bangkok, the cultural and commercial heart. Bangkok has a rare gift among Southeast Asian cities. It manages to be both a booming commercial hub and a cultural treasure at the same time, and this balance gives it a kind of power that numbers alone cannot fully capture. As the capital of Thailand, Bangkok sits at the center of everything the country does, from government to trade to tourism. Tourism alone gives Bangkok enormous soft power. Millions upon millions of visitors flow through its airports every year, drawn by golden temples, floating markets, world-class street food, and a nightlife scene that never really sleeps. This constant stream of visitors pumps massive amounts of money into hotels, restaurants, shopping malls, and transportation, creating an economy that thrives on hospitality as much as on heavy industry. But do not let the temples and tourists fool you into thinking Bangkok is only about culture. The city is also a serious industrial and manufacturing powerhouse. Thailand is one of the largest automobile producers in Asia, and much of that industry is coordinated through Bangkok's business districts, even though the factories themselves often sit in surrounding provinces. Electronics, agriculture exports, and textiles all flow through Bangkok's trading networks before reaching the rest of the world. Bangkok also serves as a diplomatic and logistical hub for the wider region. Many international organizations, regional offices, and embassies choose Bangkok as their base because of its central location, excellent connectivity, and relatively lower costs compared to Singapore. Flights from Bangkok reach nearly every corner of Asia in just a few hours, making it a natural meeting point for business and diplomacy alike. The city's identity is deeply tied to Thai culture, monarchy, and Buddhist tradition, and that cultural weight extends its influence well beyond economics. Bangkok exports its cuisine, its fashion, its entertainment, and its aesthetic to audiences around the world, building a kind of soft power that rivals its hard economic numbers. Traffic congestion, flooding risks, and political instability remain real challenges, but Bangkok's blend of commerce, culture, and connectivity keeps it firmly planted among the region's most influential cities. Point 4. Kuala Lumpur, the rising powerhouse. Kuala Lumpur often gets overshadowed by its flashier neighbors, but underestimating this city would be a serious mistake. As the capital of Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur has quietly built itself into one of the most balanced and efficient economic centers in the entire region, blending modern infrastructure with a genuinely multicultural identity. The skyline alone tells part of the story. The Petronas Towers once stood as the tallest buildings in the world, and they remain a powerful symbol of Malaysia's ambition and economic confidence. Around those towers, an entire financial and business district has grown, filled with banks, insurance companies, and technology firms that connect Malaysia to global markets. Kuala Lumpur benefits enormously from Malaysia's strong position in electronics manufacturing, palm oil production, and energy exports. The city itself functions as the command center for these industries, even when the actual production happens elsewhere in the country. Decisions about pricing, trade deals, and corporate strategy are made in Kuala Lumpur's boardrooms before rippling outward across the region. One of Kuala Lumpur's greatest strengths is its multicultural population, blending Malay, Chinese, and Indian communities into a single vibrant society. This diversity gives the city a unique advantage in international business, since companies can find talent fluent in multiple languages and comfortable navigating different cultural expectations. It also makes Kuala Lumpur an attractive destination for regional headquarters of multinational companies looking for a stable, English-friendly base outside of the more expensive Singapore. Infrastructure here is genuinely impressive, with efficient public transportation, modern highways, and one of the busiest airports in the region connecting Kuala Lumpur to destinations across the globe. The cost of living remains significantly lower than Singapore, which makes it attractive for both businesses and skilled workers looking for quality of life without sacrificing career opportunities. While Kuala Lumpur may not dominate headlines the way some other cities do, its steady growth, industrial strength, and strategic positioning make it a genuine powerhouse quietly shaping the future of Southeast Asia. Point 5. Manila, the resilient metropolis. Manila carries a kind of power that comes from sheer human energy and resilience. As the capital of the Philippines, this sprawling metropolis has weathered typhoons, economic crises, and political upheaval, yet it continues to grow into one of the most important cities in the region, driven largely by the strength and spirit of its people. One of Manila's greatest sources of power lies in its people themselves. Millions of Filipino workers are employed abroad, sending money back home every single month, and this flow of remittances forms a massive pillar supporting the entire national economy. Manila serves as the financial gateway through which much of this money flows, strengthening banks and boosting consumer spending across the metropolitan area. The city has also become a global leader in business process outsourcing, meaning call centers, customer service operations, and back-office work for companies around the world. English fluency across the population, combined with a strong work ethic, has made Manila one of the top destinations globally for this kind of service industry. Entire districts of the city are now built around gleaming office towers filled with workers supporting businesses on the other side of the planet. Manila Bay and its surrounding ports remain critical to the movement of goods throughout the Philippine archipelago, connecting thousands of islands to international trade routes. The city functions as the political heart of the nation as well, housing the presidential palace, the national legislature, and the headquarters of major corporations that drive the Philippine economy forward. Challenges here are significant and impossible to ignore. Traffic congestion is among the worst in the world, flooding during typhoon season causes serious damage almost every year, and poverty remains a persistent struggle for many residents. Yet despite these obstacles, Manila keeps moving forward with remarkable resilience. Its growing middle class, its powerful service economy, and its deep connections to Filipino communities worldwide give this metropolis an influence that goes far beyond its physical borders, making it a true force within Southeast Asia. Point 6. Ho Chi Minh City, the economic engine. Ho Chi Minh City, still affectionately called Saigon by many, has transformed itself from a war-torn city into one of the fastest-growing economic engines in all of Southeast Asia. This is Vietnam's largest city, and while Hanoi holds the political capital, Ho Chi Minh City is unquestionably where the money moves and the business gets done. Vietnam's manufacturing boom has centered heavily around this city and its surrounding industrial zones. As global companies looked for alternatives to rising costs elsewhere in Asia, many factories relocated to Vietnam, and Ho Chi Minh City became the coordinating hub for this massive shift. Electronics, textiles, footwear, and countless other goods now flow through this city on their way to markets across the globe. The energy in Ho Chi Minh City is genuinely electric. Motorbikes fill every street in numbers that seem almost impossible to count, small businesses line every alley, and a young, ambitious population drives an entrepreneurial spirit that feels almost contagious. This is one of the youngest major cities in the region, with a huge share of the population under the age of 35, giving it enormous potential for continued growth in the decades ahead. Foreign investment has poured into Ho Chi Minh City at remarkable rates, with international companies establishing offices, factories, and regional headquarters throughout the city and its surrounding provinces. The stock exchange here has grown into one of the more dynamic markets in the region, attracting investors eager to tap into Vietnam's rapid expansion before it matures further. Infrastructure is still catching up to the city's ambitions, with traffic congestion and limited public transportation remaining real obstacles. A new metro system is slowly coming online to help ease these pressures. Despite these growing pains, Ho Chi Minh City's combination of youthful energy, manufacturing strength, and rapidly expanding consumer market has made it one of the most talked about economic engines anywhere in Asia, and its influence within Southeast Asia continues to grow stronger with every passing year. Point 7. Hanoi, the political powerhouse. Hanoi may not always grab the same international headlines as its southern rival, but as the capital of Vietnam, this ancient city holds a very different, and in many ways equally important, kind of power. Every major political decision, every piece of national policy, and every diplomatic relationship that shapes Vietnam's future runs through Hanoi's government institutions. This city carries centuries of history within its streets, blending ancient temples and colonial-era architecture with a modern skyline that has grown rapidly in recent decades. Hanoi's old quarter still bustles with traditional trades and narrow lanes that have existed for generations, while just outside that historic core, gleaming office towers and international hotels signal the city's growing modern ambitions. As Vietnam's political center, Hanoi houses the headquarters of the ruling party, the national government, and countless embassies representing countries from around the world. This concentration of political power gives Hanoi enormous influence over economic policy, foreign relations, and the overall direction of the country, even as Ho Chi Minh City handles much of the day-to-day commercial activity. Hanoi has also developed into a significant industrial and technology center in its own right. Major electronics manufacturers have established massive production facilities in and around the city, drawn by government incentives and a skilled, growing workforce. Education levels in Hanoi are particularly strong, with some of the best universities in the country producing graduates who go on to lead businesses and government institutions alike. The city's role as a gateway to China, given its proximity to the northern border, adds another layer of strategic importance that few other Southeast Asian capitals can match. Trade routes connecting Vietnam to its massive northern neighbor pass directly through Hanoi's economic zones, giving the city geopolitical weight that extends well beyond its own borders. Combining deep political authority, growing industrial strength, and rich cultural heritage, Hanoi stands as a true powerhouse whose influence over Southeast Asia's future cannot be overlooked. So there you have it, 7 cities, each one wielding power in its own unique way. Singapore rules through money and trust. Jakarta rules through sheer scale and political weight. Bangkok blends culture with commerce in a way few cities ever manage. Kuala Lumpur quietly builds strength through balance and diversity. Manila proves that resilience and human spirit are forms of power all their own. Ho Chi Minh City races forward with youthful economic energy, while Hanoi anchors an entire nation's political and strategic future. Which one truly rules the region? Honestly, that depends on how you measure power. If it is money and financial trust, Singapore stands alone at the top. If it is sheer size and influence over the most people, Jakarta cannot be ignored. If it is speed of growth and future potential, Ho Chi Minh City might just be the one to watch most closely in the coming years. What matters most is understanding that Southeast Asia is not defined by a single capital of power. It is a region shaped by 7 distinct engines, each one pushing the whole area forward in its own direction. Together, these cities form one of the most dynamic and rapidly evolving parts of the entire world, and their influence is only going to grow stronger in the years ahead. Now it is your turn. Which of these 7 cities do you personally believe deserves the crown as the true ruler of Southeast Asia? Drop your answer in the comments below and let us know why you picked it. If this video opened your eyes to just how powerful these cities really are, smash that like button so more people can discover this story. And if you want more deep dives into the cities and countries shaping our world, hit that subscribe button right now so you never miss what comes next. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one.